to Coronation Personal Finance Series 2. My name is Yemi Kuka, and I have here today with me Adele Balogun. He's the head of trust services at Coronation Trustees. Welcome to the episode today, Adele.
So nice to be here.
Today, we're going to be discussing what an estate plan is, why you need one, as well as the components of an estate plan and how to start an estate plan. So, Adele, please, can you shed a bit more light on what an estate plan is?
So basically, an estate plan is the act of an individual basically planning their estate and planning on how their assets are to be distributed when they are long gone. And there are various forms of estate planning. So it could be they could be planning their estate through wills, or they could plan their estate through trusts. And because in every stage of human life, there's a stage where he tries to accumulate assets, and there are states where he consolidates those assets. Then there are states where he needs to protect those assets too.
Okay.
Yeah. So basically, protection of the assets comes through estate planning. So because you want to protect your assets from individuals, you don't want them to have a space or a room, or you don't want them to have a hold on your assets. So you want to ensure that your assets goes to the right beneficiaries when you are long gone.
Okay, thank you very much. And would you be able to tell us a bit more about why individuals need to, plan their estate, basically?
So basically, there's always a saying that if you fail to plan, you plan to fail.
True.
So if you don't plan your estate, you are giving rooms into other individuals sharing your assets according to how they want it, or according to their own beliefs, or according to their own wishes, and not necessarily your own wishes. So but when you plan your estates, you're not giving room to chance for other individuals to encroach on those assets. It means that your wishes will be well respected. Your assets that you've taken a while to accumulate, that you've gone through the rigors of life, is going to who you want those assets to go to. Okay. It could be your children, it could be your other loved ones, you could even be giving it to charity.
Yeah.
So, but if you fail to plan your estate generally would, for example, if an individual dies intestate without a will, the estate is usually distributed according to its native laws and customs.
Okay, can you tell us a bit more about that?
So for native laws and under native law and custom, right, each jurisdiction have different estate planning laws. Okay. So in the Yoruba, the estate planning laws of Nigeria, for example, each jurisdiction have different estate planning laws, each tribes, each region.
Yeah.
So the estate planning laws of the Igbos are different from the estate planning laws of the Yorubas, different from the estate planning laws of the Hausas. For example, under the Igbo native law and custom, a female child is necessarily not seen to be part of the family once she's married. Okay. So all the estates, like by estate, it does not mean a private property. Means the accumulation of all the assets that individual has accumulated over time. Right. So he is necessarily, the Igbo native law and custom gives more credence to the male child than the female child when it comes to the distribution of the assets of the deceased. Yes. So, but for a proper estate plan, right, the deceased that will have made provisions for the female child. So he ensures that the assets are distributed according to his rules and his wishes, and not necessarily according to the native law and custom.
Yeah. Okay, that's interesting. How about the Yoruba law? Do you have?
So for the Yoruba laws, usually when an individual dies intestate, so it is usually distributed in a proportion according to the number of children he has and the wife. So whilst there is more room for the asset to be distributed, right, according to everybody, every child for the deceased that's giving birth to, still he would not necessarily pass down to his wishes, because he might not be, the assets might not be distributed in the proportion in which he would have loved to have it distributed. So, for example, everybody has different wishes and different principles. So it could be that a father wants the assets to necessarily pass to his beneficiaries or to his children based on a milestone. So it could be that, I don't want my child to get this large sum of money if it's not ripe, if it's not up to this age. So a will could cover for that. So you could say that, if my child has not finished uni, he's not entitled to anything he's not entitled to any of my assets. So I want this house to go to him when he reaches this certain age.
Basically conditional.
So it could be conditional. So, but if you die intestate, there's no room for that. So when the family applies for letters of administration to be able to administer your estate, right, they will only share those those assets based on the native law and customs, so according to what the family has agreed on how the assets should be shared. So it does not properly convey the wishes of the deceased.
I wanted to find out, do female genders also, create estate plans and trust? I mean, because I know predominantly, male genders, typically do wills and, plan their estate, but we're seeing cases of, women also accumulating assets. So I wanted to know, are there provisions for trust for them as well, or it's just male gender that typically do this?
So estate planning is not gender biased, neither is it age biased.
Okay.
So as long as you have assets that you've accumulated over time, whether you're a male or you're a female, it is recommended that you should plan your estate. For example, there are cases where in planning your estate, a couple can be probably separated before the demise of one of the other. So if their estate is not properly planned, they're not able to outline those things in those conditions in their will. So if such person dies intestate, it will be assumed under law that he's still the husband to the wife as long as a divorce has not been finalized, or she's still the wife to the deceased as long as the divorce has not been finalized. So it does not really convey the wishes of the deceased in this case.
Yeah.
But in cases where either the husband or the wife had properly planned their estate and everything is well stated in their will or in their trust to state that, at this point in time, I don't know, probably I'm going to reconcile with my husband, but at the moment we are living apart. So there could be times where couples are having differences at a certain point in time, right?
Yes.
And it might be irreconcilable, it might be irreconcilable, but at that point in time, they are living apart from each other.
Yes.
So if either of the party dies at that point in time, at that point in time, either the husband or the wife, while planning their estate, might not want to give certain part of the assets to the other party. So all these things can be properly captured if they have a proper estate plan in place. So, but if they die intestate, right?
Which is dying without a will.
Yeah.
Okay.
They are under the native law and customs, for example, the asset just goes to the partner. But at that point in time, that might not necessarily be the wishes of the deceased. So that's why it's proper that at every point in time, a man or a woman plans their estate and ensures that their estates are always updated as and when due. So your estate plan should cover new assets that you're acquiring. If you acquire a new house, if you acquire a new car, all assets that you acquire from time to time, your estate plan should ensure that your estate plan are always updated periodically.
Thank you very much. So now we're going to discuss components of an estate plan. Can you share a bit more about that?
So there are various tools of estate planning. So an individual could be planning his estate using a will or using a trust.
Right.
So using a will means that the individual is setting up a will to ensure that how he wants his assets to be distributed whilst he's long gone, it will be properly captured in the will. So for a will to be valid, certain conditions must be met. For example, the will must be devoid of any form of ambiguity. The will must be written in clear language.
Right.
The will must as it relates to asset distribution, right? The asset distribution must be specific. So it is the case that, for example, you cannot say that, I'm giving my house to my first child. So you must state the name of the child, you must state the house, where it is located. So every gift that you're giving out in a will must be specific. So it's specific as to what the gift is, specific as to who gets the gift. So it is not enough to say, my car is going to my first daughter. You have to state where the brand of the car, the model number where applicable, and who the third daughter is. So all those things must be present in a will. And another thing again is that for a will to, when the testator, that's the individual that is writing the will, he must have a named executors to the will. So those are the ones that will carry out his wishes when it's no longer available, and then also ensure that. And for one of the elements of validity to a will is that, so at the point of executing the will must be signed. Once it has been signed by the testator, it must be signed in the presence of the witnesses to the will. So it is not enough that the testator signs, one of the witnesses comes tomorrow to come and sign, another witness comes the next day to come and sign. All the signing must happen in each of their presence.
Okay.
So all those things, those are things that ensures that a will is not contested. He ensures that the will is valid and binding.
Okay.
And also, the will must be updated from time to time to ensure that he's able to capture all the new assets that a testator acquires over time.
Okay, thank you. So is there any more you want to share about the components of estate plan or that?
Okay, then the trust. So basically, a trust is another tool of estate planning, and so whilst a will only comes into effect after the death of the testator, so an individual could be setting up a living trust, right? Could be setting up a testamentary trust. So a testamentary trust is so whilst I was stating that when I is setting up a will, is planning his estate, there are times that not where an individual set up a trust after his demise. So the trust creation will be captured in his will. So he's now saying that, after my demise, I'm setting up setting up a testamentary trust. So it could be a large chunk of his cash. He wants to will it to an orphanage, but he is afraid that probably some people might mismanage the funds. So he could be setting up a charitable trust even after his demise. So it will already be stated in his will. So we just say that a certain proportion of these funds should move to a trustee after my demise. So the testamentary trust is set up in that process. So the testamentary trust can be set up even after the demise of the testator.
Okay.
And also, for a trust, basically, a trust is just a legal relationship whereby a settlor, that's the individual setting up a trust, transfers his assets to a beneficiary using a trustee. So the trustee holds those assets in trust on behalf of the beneficiary. So what happens in this case is that number one is that the trust, you're able to ensure a seamless transfer of assets to your loved ones and avoid the probate process. So whilst you need the probate, you need the grant of probate before you can even execute a will, you don't need the probate process is eliminated when you're using a trust as a tool of estate planning. So you are able to eliminate the probate. So part of the gains is that it is possible that you are not liable to pay the estate tax that is applicable if you are using a will to set up your estate, to plan your estate. And also, for a trust setup, usually there are four key elements to a trust, right? So the first is the settlor. That's the individual setting up a trust. The other one is the trustee, which is the individual holding the assets, the trust assets on behalf of the beneficiary.
For example, Coronation trustees.
Yeah. Then there's the beneficiary, which is the individual that all the assets that the trustees holding the assets on behalf. Then there's the trust assets, which are those assets that have been moved to a trustee.
So, for example, in the case of an irrevocable trust, what does that mean?
So, an irrevocable trust means that from the moment the trust is being set up, the settlor cannot terminate that trust relationship.
Okay.
Except in certain instances, which is very, very rare.
Okay.
But for a revocable trust, during the lifetime of the settlor, he can terminate the trust relationship.
Okay.
Yeah, and one of the advantages of a trust over a will is also that whilst the main purpose of a trust is to plan your estate, the settlor can at any point in time is allowed to even use part of the trust assets whilst he's alive.
Okay.
And the trust relationship can continue even when it's long gone.
Okay. All right. So basically, a trust is useful for you both. Is useful for an individual both in their lifetime and even after their lifetime.
Exactly.
But a will really works when the person has,
Yeah, a will only kickstarts after the death of the testator.
All right. Thank you very much. Can you tell us a bit more about the various forms of trust?
Okay. So we have a living trust. Okay. So like I said, a living trust is a trust being set up by a settlor where he's able to use the trust asset whilst he's alive, and when in his demise, the letters of the trust deed. So the trust deed is the binding document that binds the trustee and the settlor. So it contains all the obligations of the trustee. How is the trustee supposed to distribute those assets to the beneficiaries during the lifetime of the settlor and even after the demise of the settlor. So we have an education trust too. So many oftentimes are not. Some large chunk of funds could be moved to the trustee just to plan towards the education of the settlor's children. So there are milestone payments. The trustee will be according to the tenets of the trust deed, the time in which the trustee is supposed to disburse the funds towards the schooling of the children, everything is well stated in the trust deed. And we could also have the charitable trust too. So the trust could be set up to ensure that to make just for the purpose of charity. So there are individuals that have various philanthropy goals, and they want to ensure that all these things are probably captured in their estate plan. So they could set up a charitable trust and ensure that and all the instructions of how the trust assets will be distributed to charity will be well stated in the trust deed. So and all the trust, because the trustee has no skin in the game usually, trustee is usually binded by the tenets of the trust deed, and he acts according to the wishes of the settlor. And in Nigeria, before you can become a trust company in Nigeria, you must be licensed by the Securities and Exchange Commission. So the trustee would not necessarily go out of his way and outside the laws to
contradict
what it's stated in the trust deed, because the trustee has no skin in the game. The trustee just wants to carry out his functions.
Have interest at all.
Yeah.
Yes. All right. Thank you. Let's discuss how to start an estate plan then.
Okay. So basically, to start an estate plan, it depends on the type of the estate plan you want to set up.
Okay.
If it's a will, all you need to do is to contact a professional, right? You have to take a stock and itemize all your assets. So, for example, Coronation Trustees helps in an individual setting up a will. So we have experienced legal professionals in-house that helps with setting up a will. So we take a stock item of all your assets, and we're able to draft a proper will that would capture all your wishes and all your assets and how you want them distributed to your loved ones. And also, if you want to use the trust as a tool of estate planning, depending on the type of trust an individual wants to set up, we have capable trust advisors who are going to guide an individual every step of the way in setting up a trust. So we just need to schedule a consultation with the team, and then we would help out to structure the perfect estate plan for you. Yeah, you can set up a will on our portal. It's seamless and fast. The website address is trustees.coronation.ng. So you can set up a simple will or a comprehensive will on the portal.
Okay.
And for the simple will, it costs 50,000 naira, and you are allowed to put in your bank account, your pension account, and assets not more than 500,000 naira. While for the comprehensive will, the cost is 300,000 naira, and you can put basically all your assets in the will.
Thank you, Adelekon, for joining us on this episode.
The pleasure is mine.
Yeah, it was really enlightening having you here. On that note, we've come to the end of today's episode where we discuss estate planning and its benefits. Make sure to follow our social media pages to keep getting financial tips. You can also learn more at Coronation Investment Academy. Till next time, bye.